Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going some pretty wild places, really. We're going to be talking about climate change, ancient art, and even, well, plate tectonics, the stuff that makes continents drift around. It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. You sent over some really cool scientific papers for us to dive into, and wow, even just skimming them, I've got to say, I am hooked already.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix of stuff, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
we've got studies here about land cover change. Then we've got a deep dive into plate tectonics,
Hmm.
and and we've even got some research here on how rock art deteriorates. It might seem like a jumbled mess at first glance, but I
Yeah.
think you're going to find that there's some really strong connections here, some really fascinating links between these topics. Just wait, you'll see.
Okay, so what's the point of all this? What are we hoping to uncover, and what's the mission for this deep dive? What's the big takeaway?
Well, I think the big question that we're trying to answer here is how are all of Earth's systems interconnected, and what does all that mean for us? For humans, I mean, we're going to see how the choices that we make today, even little seemingly insignificant choices, can ripple through time. Impact everything. I mean, everything from global temperatures all the way to to the survival of art that was created tens of thousands of years ago.
Hmm.
I mean, isn't that wild?
Okay, all right. I am ready to get into this. So where do we start? What's first?
Let's start with this paper here. This one from Geophysical Research Letters. It's called Climate Effects of Global Land Cover Change. And it really challenges some common assumptions about, about how to combat climate change. It's pretty interesting.
Assumptions, huh? Okay, lay it on me. What kind of assumptions are we talking about?
Well, like how we're always hearing about how planting trees can save the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this study suggests that it might not be that simple. It suggests that it might not be as straightforward as we all think. In fact, the researchers found that if we were to replace all current vegetation on Earth, all of it with forests, we could actually end up seeing an increase in global warming.
Wait, hold on a second. Really, I thought forests were good for the planet. I mean, don't they absorb carbon dioxide? I was pretty sure they were crucial for cooling things down.
They are. They do absorb carbon dioxide. That's true. But this study points out how complex Earth's systems really are. It's not just about carbon dioxide. It's also about something called the albedo effect.
Albedo.
Yeah, the albedo effect. Basically, what it means is, it refers to how much sunlight a surface reflects back into space. Like, different surfaces reflect different amounts of light.
So, so lighter surfaces, things like ice, reflect more sunlight, so they keep things cooler, right? And then darker surfaces like forests, they absorb more, so they make things warmer.
Exactly. You got it. And what these researchers found was that on a global scale, the albedo effect of forests can actually be more powerful than their carbon absorption benefits. Like, it can outweigh them.
Wow.
They even calculated that this warming effect could be almost 60%, almost 60% of what we predict the planet will warm from doubling carbon dioxide emissions. Wild, huh?
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of a scary thought. So it sounds like maybe just planting trees everywhere isn't the best idea then.
Well, it's complicated. It's not that simple, really. This research shows us how important location is in context. The study actually found that if you were to replace all the vegetation on Earth with grasslands, you could actually see a net cooling effect, because you see, grasslands have a higher albedo than forests do.
Okay, so it sounds like what we really need to do is be a lot more strategic about how we manage land cover, We need to consider not just carbon absorption, but also this albedo effect, right?
Yes, exactly. What's really interesting about this study to me is that, it's not saying that forests are bad. Trees are good, that's for sure. But what it is saying is that, we need to be more nuanced in our approach. We need to plan carefully. We need to move beyond these simplistic solutions. We need to look at the bigger picture and consider the complex interplay of all the factors that are involved in climate change.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a theme of interconnectedness starting to emerge here. Okay, so let's switch gears now and talk about something that might seem completely unrelated: continental drift. I know it sounds like a a big jump, but just trust me on this one. We've got a paper here called New Directions in Wilson's Cycle Concepts. And and yeah, this is where things start to get really interesting.
Okay, so most people think of Pangaea, right? They think of Pangaea as the one and only supercontinent that's ever existed. But this paper explores the idea that that there have been multiple supercontinents throughout Earth's history. I mean, Pangaea wasn't the only one.
So you're saying that that Pangaea was just the most recent chapter in a much longer story.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's part of a larger cycle called the Wilson cycle, which describes how ocean basins open and close, how continents collide, and how mountains rise. And get this has been going on for millions of years, billions even. It's this amazing dance of the Earth's crust.
Okay, that's amazing. Let's break that down a little bit, though. I mean, what does this Wilson cycle look like in action? Can you give me a concrete example?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Let's go way back in time, okay? Back over 1 billion years ago to a supercontinent called Rodinia. Now, this is way before Pangaea even existed.
Yeah.
And it was made up of many of the same continental pieces that we see today. They were just arranged in a completely different way. Then, over millions of years, Rodinia started to break apart, you see, and new ocean basins started to form, and the continents, they began to slowly drift back toward each other.
Hold on, wait. So you're saying that that the continents that we know today, the ones that we live on, you're saying that they were all once part of this ancient supercontinent, this Rodinia.
That's exactly right. And the evidence is right there in the rocks. I mean, you can actually see it. For example, if we look at the geology of North America and parts of Africa, we see these really striking similarities in the rock formations there, and those similarities. They can be traced back to a time when they were both part of Rodinia. They were connected, way back then.
Wow, that is really incredible, I gotta say. So this Wilson cycle, it's not just a theory. It's it's something that we can actually see playing out in the geological record, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about these massive continents either. Smaller pieces of continental crust, they also play a role. These are called terranes.
Yeah, terranes. Yeah, terranes, and they're important too. For shaping the Earth's surface, like Avalonia, for instance.
Avalonia, what's that? So Avalonia was a microcontinent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could also call it a terrane, and it existed during the Paleozoic era. That was about 540 to 250 million years ago. Long time ago, that's for sure, and it drifted around between these larger land masses you see between Laurentia, which included what is now North America, and Gondwana, which was it was made up of most of the southern hemisphere continents.
Okay, so we've got these massive continents, right? Laurentia and Gondwana, and then we've got this smaller chunk of land, Avalonia, that's caught in the middle. What happened next?
Well, things got pretty dramatic, that's for sure. As these land masses interacted, they collided, and these collisions created mountain ranges, huge mountain ranges, and also a whole mix of different rock types that geologists can still study today. I mean, that's how we know all this.
So you're saying that that parts of the continents that we see today, the ones that we know and love, you're saying that they were actually that they were formed by the collision of these ancient land masses, these ancient continents.
Yep, that's right. For example, the Appalachian Mountains, the ones in eastern North America. Well, they owe their existence to at least in part to the collision of Avalonia with Laurentia, millions and millions of years ago. And get this, the Precordillera terrane in South America, which is now part of the Andes Mountains, it actually originated near what is now North America. Can you believe that? It traveled all the way from up north to way down south. That's a long way to travel.
That is incredible. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle, where the pieces have been shuffled and rearranged over millions of years. This is amazing. But I have to ask, I mean, what does all this have to do with with climate change and rock art. I mean, I can sense there's a connection here, but I can't quite put my finger on it. It's all very interesting, but I'm not sure I see how it all fits together.
Yeah, yeah, there is a connection there. It might not be, immediately obvious, but when we understand these ancient geological processes, well, it helps us appreciate how dynamic and interconnected Earth systems really are.
Yeah.
We've seen how continental movements they've shaped mountain ranges and created all these different rock types. But those same forces have also influenced climate patterns. And as we'll see, they've even influenced the preservation of ancient cultural heritage. Like rock art, for instance.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm definitely intrigued. I mean, this is fascinating. So let's move on to the rock art. Now, you mentioned a study on the deterioration of rock art in Sulawesi. So what can you tell me about that?
This study is called "The Effects of Climate Change on the Pleistocene Rock Art of Sulawesi." And it takes us to the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, which, it's home to some of the world's oldest cave paintings. Now, I know most people think of Europe when they think of cave art, right? But the paintings in Sulawesi, well, they rival those famous Ice Age paintings in Europe. I mean, they're just as old and just as amazing, really.
So we're talking about paintings that are like tens of thousands of years old. Wow. What do they show?
We're talking about art that's at least 45,000 years old, if not older, and they depict hand stencils, and animals like pigs and deer, things like that. And there's even one that, that might be the earliest known narrative scene in prehistoric art. It's incredible. It's like a window into the minds of people who lived in a world that was so different from our own, But it sounds like this incredible art is it's under threat now. The study mentions something called salt efflorescence. What is that, and how's it impacting these paintings? Salt efflorescence, you can also call it haloclasty. It's basically it's the crystallization of salts on cave surfaces, and these salts, they create pressure, you see, and that pressure causes the outer layer of rock to kind of flake off like it's peeling,
Yeah.
And sadly, often that takes the paintings with it.
Oh, so the paintings are they're literally peeling off the walls because of these salts. Wow. So how is climate change involved in this? I mean, how does that play into all of this?
Well, Sulawesi, you see, it sits within the Australasian monsoon domain, which means it experiences a cycle of distinct wet and dry seasons. It's really wet sometimes and then really dry at other times. And climate change is it's making the cycle more intense. It's leading to more El Nino events, which bring really long droughts to the region.
Okay. So I'm starting to see the connection now. So during these really long dry periods, more salt crystallizes on the cave surfaces, which leads to faster deterioration of the art.
That's exactly right. You got it. And it's not just it's not just the El Nino events that are playing a role here. Human activities, things like deforestation and the creation of rice paddies and aquaculture ponds. All of that's also altering the local water cycle, and potentially contributing to this problem.
Wow. This is really heartbreaking to hear, I have to say. I mean, to think that these paintings have survived for tens of thousands of years, and now they're being threatened by climate change and by human activity. It's really sad. So what does the study say about the specific types of salts that are involved here, and where are they coming from?
Oh, there are a few bad guys here. The study found gypsum, halite, sodium sulfate, sodium carbonate, magnesium sulfate, and calcium chloride. It's a whole party of salts, really.
Yeah.
Some of them occur naturally. They're already present in a limestone bedrock, but others come from the environment. They're carried by the wind or the rain or even sea spray.
So it really is like everything's working against this ancient art. It's we've got the salts that are naturally found in the rock, and then we've got these changing climate patterns, and then on top of all that, we've got human activities just adding another layer of complexity.
Yep. Yeah, it really shows how how our actions, even the ones that seem completely unrelated, can have, well, they can have really big consequences, really far-reaching consequences.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the study, it points to the rice paddies and aquaculture ponds that are near the caves. They're actually potential contributors to this whole salt problem.
Really? I mean, how is that? I never would have thought that that those could have an impact on, well, on something like cave paintings. I mean, they seem pretty isolated, you know?
Yeah, well, you see these human-made water features. They increase the moisture in the local environment,
Yeah.
and as all that moisture evaporates, especially during those long dry periods that are caused by by El Nino, it leaves behind salt deposits, and those salts, well, they can be drawn into the caves, and that makes the salt efflorescence even worse.
Wow. That's pretty incredible, I gotta say. It's well, it's a good reminder that we really need to think about the long-term impacts of what we do, you know, and think about how everything's connected, especially with the climate changing. But okay, but before we get too gloomy here, let's switch gears for a second and revisit this idea of the Wilson cycle. I mean, it's a really powerful concept, and I think it can help us understand something else you mentioned earlier, the tectonic rock cycle.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. The Wilson cycle is it's the perfect framework for understanding how plate tectonics influences not just the movement of continents, but also how rocks are created and how they're transformed over really long periods of time. Like millions and millions, even billions of years. It really challenges that traditional rock cycle model that the one that just shows rocks transforming from igneous to sedimentary to metamorphic, and then back again. That old diagram with the arrows going around in a circle.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. I always thought it seemed a bit a bit too simple, you know, too neat and tidy. Like it wasn't really telling the whole story. So what is this tectonic rock cycle adding to the picture? What's different about it?
It's adding dynamism.
Yeah.
Dynamism and complexity. It recognizes that rocks, they don't just transform into place. They evolve.
Yeah.
They're transported and buried and uplifted and eroded by all these tectonic processes that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And each stage of the Wilson cycle, from the rifting of continents to their collision and the mountain building that happens. Well, each of these stages creates specific rock types and structures.
So it's not just a simple cycle then. It's more like an ongoing evolution of rocks that's driven by plate tectonics, right?
That's it. That's exactly right. So, for example, imagine a granite batholith. Okay, now that's a massive body of igneous rock that formed deep within the Earth's crust, millions of years ago, and then over time that batholith, it can be uplifted and exposed at the surface by tectonic forces, like the kind of forces that are at play during continental collisions, for example. And as it's exposed, well, then it starts to be subjected to weathering and erosion.
Right. So the wind and the rain and the ice and even the roots of plants, they all start to break down that granite, right? And so then what happens to all those broken down pieces?
Well, they're transported.
Yeah.
They get carried away by rivers or wind or glaciers, and eventually they're deposited somewhere else. Usually that's in basins or along coastlines, and then over time, over a really really long time, those sediments they get buried under more and more layers. You see, and all that pressure, it compacts them, and eventually they become lithified, which means that they turn into solid rock.
So the original granite, it's basically it's been transformed into a new type of rock, a sedimentary rock, right? And all that happened through this process of erosion and transportation and lithification.
Exactly, you got it. That's just the beginning of the story, though. you see that sedimentary rock. Well, it can be transformed even further. Like if it gets caught in a continental collision zone, where there's a lot of heat and pressure. Well, that can create metamorphic rocks, or it could even be subducted. It could be pushed back down into the mantle where it melts and becomes part of the magma that eventually forms new igneous rocks.
Wow, so it's like a never-ending cycle. It's creation and transformation and recycling, all driven by by plate tectonics.
That's it. That's the beauty of the tectonic rock cycle. It helps us understand how how rocks are they're constantly evolving. They're constantly changing in response to all these dynamic forces that are shaping our planet. And it connects back to to everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
From the formation of supercontinents to the weathering and erosion that's affecting those cave paintings in Sulawesi.
I have to say I'm starting to see the world in a whole new way now. It's like a dynamic system. Everything's constantly changing and everything's connected.
Right. Yeah. And it's not just about rocks and continents either. When we understand this, it helps us appreciate the intricate web of relationships that link all of Earth's systems.
Wow.
From the atmosphere to the hydrosphere to the biosphere. It's like it's like we're all part of this grand dance. This great interconnected dance.
Okay, so I gotta ask. I mean, how does this all relate back to the rock art in Sulawesi? I mean, we talked about the specific salts that are affecting those paintings, but how does the broader geological context, how does that factor in? How does that play a role?
Oh, that's a great question. So, remember the paintings, they're found in limestone caves, right? And limestone was a sedimentary rock. And it's often formed in shallow marine environments, and so the specific composition of that limestone, the types of minerals that are present in it, well, they can influence the types of salts that form on the cave surfaces.
So understanding the geological history of Sulawesi. I mean, knowing how that limestone was formed and how it's been shaped by tectonic processes. I mean, all of that can give us insights into the specific challenges that are facing the rock art. Right.
That's it. It's all connected, and it's not just about the past. By understanding these long-term processes, we can better predict how climate change might impact similar sites in the future.
You know what? I'm realizing now that this goes way beyond just art preservation. This is about it's about understanding the deep time history of our planet, and then using that knowledge to inform our actions in the present. It's really making me think about my own region, and how the geological history here has shaped the landscape and the challenges that we face today. It's really amazing stuff.
That's what I love about these deep dives. Mm-hmm. They encourage us to think critically and connect the dots. To see the world in a whole new way. It's a lot of fun, really.
And speaking of connections, you mentioned that those rice paddies and aquaculture ponds. Well, you said they might be contributing to the salt efflorescence problem in Sulawesi. So, are there any other human activities that could be having unintended consequences for these ancient sites?
Well, absolutely. Tourism for one.
Yeah.
Increased foot traffic in the caves that can change the microclimate, and introduce contaminants. It can even lead to accidental damage to the paintings.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, just the act of trying to appreciate these ancient works of art, trying to learn from them. Well, yeah. That could actually be contributing to their demise. That's kind of sad, really.
It is. It is. It's a delicate balance. We need to we need to find ways to share and protect these cultural treasures. Without accidentally without accidentally causing harm. It's a tricky situation, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, so the study mentions that there are some conservation efforts underway in Sulawesi. What are some of the strategies that they're using to try to protect these paintings? What are they doing?
Well, they're exploring a few different approaches. One strategy is to try to control the microclimate inside the caves.
Yeah.
Like by regulating the temperature and humidity levels, and that can help to minimize salt crystallization and slow down that deterioration process. Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to create a more stable environment for for the art, for the paintings, so they can survive, right? Are there any other techniques that they're using?
Yeah, another approach is to apply protective coatings to the rock surfaces, like a sealant or something, and these coatings they can act as well as barriers. You see, they can prevent moisture and salts from reaching the paintings.
That's pretty interesting. So it sounds like these conservation efforts. I mean, they require a deep understanding of both the art itself and the environment that it's in, right?
Yeah, it's a multidisciplinary effort, that's for sure. I mean, you've got scientists involved and conservators, archaeologists, and even local communities. And it's not just about these technical solutions either. It's also about raising awareness and fostering a sense of responsibility for protecting these irreplaceable cultural treasures.
That brings us back to this idea of interconnectedness. I mean, protecting these ancient paintings. It's not just about about preserving art for art's sake. It's about recognizing our shared human history, our connection to the past, and our responsibility for the future. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. It's about understanding that these paintings, they're not just they're not just objects. They're windows. They're windows into the minds and lives of people who lived tens of thousands of years ago. They offer us a glimpse into our shared human story, a story that continues to unfold today.
And it's a story that's threatened now by climate change and by human activities, and even just by the simple passage of time. It's really makes you wonder. I mean, what are the long-term prospects for preserving these ancient sites? I mean, can they really survive the challenges of the 21st century?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, can we really save these amazing places? It really depends on a whole bunch of things, like how fast the climate changes and how successful those conservation efforts are, and the choices that we make. The choices that we make as a global community. I mean, it's all connected.
It feels kind of overwhelming to think about. I mean, where do we even start with something like this? It's so big and complicated.
Well, I think it starts with awareness. We have to recognize that all of these issues, they're connected. Climate change and human impact and a deep time history of our planet. We have to see how it all fits together. That's the first step.
So connecting those dots, seeing the bigger picture, that's really important. But what about after that? I mean, what can we actually do to protect these sites? To make sure that they're around for future generations to see and appreciate.
Well, after awareness comes action, right? I mean, we can support research and conservation efforts. We can advocate for policies that address climate change and protect cultural heritage, and we could even make changes in our own lives, to try to reduce our environmental footprint.
So individual actions, they can actually make a difference. I mean, if enough people do their part, it can actually have a real impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Every time we choose sustainable practices or support responsible tourism, or even just educate ourselves and others about these issues. Well, we're part of the solution.
I'm actually feeling a little more hopeful now. It's not about feeling powerless, you know. It's about recognizing that we can do something, that we can make a difference, even if it's just a small thing.
That's the spirit. And remember, this isn't just about protecting ancient art. You know, it's about safeguarding our collective memory, our shared human story. These paintings, they offer us this unique window into the past. You know, they connect us to the people who came before us.
You know, it strikes me that there's a kind of irony here. You know, I mean, we've been talking about the Wilson cycle. You know, these vast geological processes that shape continents and mountains over millions and millions of years, and yet something as seemingly small as a change in in humidity or the crystallization of salt. I mean, that can threaten the survival of art that's endured for millennia, you know, for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, it really speaks to the fragility of our human legacy, doesn't it? It's a humbling reminder that even as we try to understand and control our world, well, there are forces at play that operate on scales that are that are way beyond our comprehension. It's really something.
Yeah, it's awe-inspiring, that's for sure. But it's also a little bit terrifying, you know, when you really think about it.
I think that's a good perspective to have. You know,
Mm-hmm.
awe reminds us of the beauty and wonder of our planet. You know, and then a little bit of fear. Well, that keeps us that keeps us grounded. You know, it reminds us that we're not masters of the universe. You know, we're just a part of this much larger system, a system that we're really only beginning to understand.
Yeah, this deep dive has definitely it's definitely expanded my understanding. That's for sure. We've gone from the depths of Earth's history to the inner workings of the climate system, to the delicate balance of art and preservation, and it all comes back to to that central theme of interconnectedness. It all ties together, you know.
Yeah, it's a theme that that resonates on every scale. You know, from the microscopic interactions of minerals and salts to the massive movements of continents. It's a reminder that everything is connected. You know, and our actions, they have consequences that ripple outward, and they touch places and times that we may never fully comprehend.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, you know, what's the one thing that you hope our listeners take away from this exploration? What's the main message?
I hope they come away with a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
you know, and a thirst for knowledge, you know, and a renewed appreciation for the intricate beauty and complexity of our planet.
And maybe a sense of responsibility too, you know,
Right.
a recognition that we all have a role to play in protecting this incredible legacy that we've inherited.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about asking questions, you know, and seeking understanding and making choices that reflect a deep respect for the delicate balance of life on Earth.
Well said, well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to come back up from this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed the journey, and that you've come away with some new insights and perspectives.
Yeah. Until next time, keep exploring, you know, and keep questioning and keep diving deep into into the mysteries of our world. It's an amazing place.
That's it for today's deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.